Hey YouTube land, AK-18 there doing another action figure review, and today we are looking at something that I was excited to pick up. Now I will say not so much spoilers, but just a advance warning that this is an adult figure designed for adult collectors, and if you're not sure how the best way to put this, but there is some parts of this figure that you may or may not, depending on, you may or may not appreciate, or may, it depends on your preference, I suppose, on how you view figures. But this is the AK-18 Boris Ping Toys AK-18, which is Assembly Kit 18. Now, one of her accessories has slipped off her hip. So we'll have a quick look at the box before I have a look at the figure. I will showcase a image of the figure, how it appeared. Hopefully it'll pop up on your screen there when she arrived, just so you can see. I may have to censor that image, but we'll have a look see and I'll put it up. But this is the box you were treated to. Now I do have one of the other figures from the Boris Ping Toys, and I cannot find where she is at the moment. I have the kind of Jill, quote unquote, Jill Valentine. Now these are not official figures, but they're based on a famous video game franchise. In fact, some of the other figures in the line are based on other video games, whereas there are several of these figures based on ones from the same franchise. So you have this unofficial Jill Valentine style figure, you have an unofficial Claire Redfield style figure, and then you have an unofficial this figure, which is Ada Wong. The one with the red hair here is, I believe, from Dino Crisis. I do not know her name, and I'm not sure if this is supposed to be another one of the Resident Evil characters. I think it could be Sherry Birkin. I could be wrong. I'm not too sure. She looks familiar, but I'm not too sure. And I believe this one here at the very end start is kind of a double homage. I think it's a PUBG style figure, but it's also, you get an alternate head and it creates it to look a bit like Lara Croft from the Tomb Raider games. So, and then I think the one here in the middle is just a showcase of what the figures are. I don't know if, again, she's based on any of the figures from a specific video game, but this one particular is based on Ada. So there is a brief write-up on the box. I'll read it out there. So if this is your first time choosing an AK kit series, thank you very much for the opportunity you have given. If you are once an old friend of the Wave 1, thank you for your trust and tolerance towards the shortcomings of the first generation product. Perhaps you will also notice that the theme of Wave 2 is Aftermath. A few years ago, a new mutated virus broke out globally, turning many cities into dead cities within months. The gears of fate for many people also began to turn at the moment of the virus outbreak. You once worked hard to purchase survival supplies through a black market, using years of accumulated resources and even sacrificing yourself to help your former friends and lead the team through the most difficult times. However, in the post-disaster era, when those you once helped faced benefits and opportunities, you were questioned, framed, slandered and betrayed by them, and you could only live in pain, anger and anxiety in a chaotic order. It is as if the people around me disguised as mutant monsters. The people often say that human nature is more terrifying than viruses when disasters occur, and humans are even more terrifying than monsters when after disasters. Sometimes you imagine the demon side within yourself awakening and ending the person who destroyed your life, but your inner self tells you what we cannot harm the innocent and so-called justice. In that case, what difference do we have from those bastards and animals. In Aftermath, make a choice together with a character you have chosen. So there is kind of indications of Instagram, Facebook. I have no idea what these ones are. I think one of them might be Discord. I could be wrong. There is a couple of social media kind of pointers, and pretty much it. Now, the one cool thing about these boxes, sorry about the big rambly rant, one cool thing about these boxes is it's a slipcase box. So if you want to put the figure back in, you can. Again, if you want to put the figure back in as she came, you can. Again, if I manage to put that image up without censoring it, I'll just be aware. But that is pretty much it for the box. It is, I believe, the same style boxes of Wave 1 figures. I do not have my Wave 1 figure at the moment. I'm a bit miffed because I'm not sure where I put her. I put her down somewhere, and I thought I had her together with one of the other figures I reviewed, but it doesn't seem the case. So I'm going to have to tear through a whole bunch of stuff and see if I can find her, and then do some side-by-side comparison shots at some point. But for now, I have plenty of other figures to do a comparison with. So you didn't notice Batman's legs and foot in the corner here. I'll just move that out of the way. So bear with me a moment. We're going to just get the figure set up. We'll move the box out of the way, and we'll have a look at the figure that is contained within. Here is the figure within the box. I'm going to break tape measure in straight off, so I get that done out of the way first. So you can see she stands just around the 4 inches. This is a 1/18 4-inch scale line, so that is about right for this entire line. I do have some other figures to do comparisons with, but we'll run through the figure itself and how it is designed. So just like the Jill Valentine figure, she actually comes with a removable hairpiece. Now, she doesn't come with an alternate hairpiece. The Jill Valentine one actually came with 2. So you can see she has a fairly baldy head. I'm assuming it is, if you have any of the other figures in the wave, you can swap out the hairpieces. She has T-pose. She has a swivel in the shoulder that her shoulders can go all the way around. I will note that in order to get this dress on her, you do have to remove the hand or the arms. They pop out at the shoulder. Just be careful when doing so. She has a upper diaphragm joint. She also has a waist joint. She has a bicep swivel. She has double jointed elbows. She has wrist swivels, and then depending on which wrist you have in, because she has a couple of extra hands, there is a joint. So the one that she has in at the moment has kind of up down, but there is in and out ones. I'm going to slip this accessory off because it will fall off. It is a little bit on the light side. She can do T-pose that much. She does have a thigh swivel. She can go into a seated position, and her waist is just popped off. They are a kit figure, so she is designed to pop apart, as you can see. Yep. Just get the dress out of the way and pop her waist back into place. So they are designed to be kind of disassemblable, if that's even a word. You can disassemble them and then kind of pop them back together. She has double jointed knees, and then she has rocker ankles, and then she is sporting very high heels. So just be aware that even though I haven't had too much trouble getting her into a kind of standing position, she seems to stand quite nicely and quite flat. It is noteworthy that she has high heels on, so getting her into some positions will probably be kind of problematic, so just be wary of that. And she doesn't have like boots or flat feet that most figures would have, but it is true to the character. If I remember correctly, when you first see her in this sort of dress, she's wearing high heels. So it is very similar. Oh, yep, there she goes. She doesn't appear to have any peg hold on the bottom of the feet either, because her feet are so flat at the front. I don't think you would have been able to actually put them onto the figure, but it is what it is. Now, she does come with a soft goods dress. I know there is a specific name for these sort of dresses, but it's like a Chinese style dress, I believe. I could be wrong, you can correct me in the comments, but I believe it's sort of Chinese style dress. Kind of like in the video game, I'm sure it's kind of like a satin or a silk sort of dress with this flower motif on it. It is a removable part. Underneath, she does not have she doesn't have anything other than her underwear. In fact, I pop her arms off. Now just be careful when you do pop the arms off and you're putting them back in. There's a very flat section at the top of this that the arm goes into, and that's the way the arm fits onto this. And if we can just pop it back in, it does pop back in. So what I tend to do is tend to pop them out, but keep the shoulder or the butterfly joint as close to the arm as possible, so I don't mix them up or put them in the wrong way. But this whole dress piece, if I just push it up a touch and just push the strap from around the head is removable, but I haven't managed to pop it off. So if you want to see what she looks like without said dress, it looks a bit weird on screen. In fact, will I pop the head off? Hopefully, yeah, I can pop the head off. This is the way she came packaged. I may have to blur this out. I may have to censor it out. I'm not too sure. Pop her head back on. Pop her other arm back in. Not the right way. That is the right way, I believe. Get the shoulder joint in. So this is pretty much the way she comes packaged. So, you know, if you're, I wouldn't say squeamish, but if you're just a bit sensitive, you may want to keep the dress on. Now she is kind of similar to the, or is it called, the line, this Green Planet, something Planet Valley, kind of similar to those figures. In fact, I do have one of those figures, but again, I'm not too sure where she is to do a comparison with. Let's see, the strap on the dress should go to the front, in front of the arm. So I'll just see if I can pop the arm back into place. That is in. Pop her head back on, and then do the same for the opposite side. Just get the dress right the way into the right position. It does tend to fold up a bit, I find, on the figure, but it is, I suppose, personal preference to a degree, you know, what way you want it to look. So I'll just get these back into where it should be, out the strap being in the way. Sorry if some of this is off camera. I know I zoomed in a bit, so there we go. We got her somewhat back into her more PC friendly look. Nice. So she does come with a bunch of accessories. Come on, stand up, Ada, or AK-18. Might have to get something to prop her up against, because it is very warm here at the moment, and I think it's affecting the heel on the back of the feet. It's making them a bit more floppy than they normally are. So she comes with a bunch of very small accessories, so something to be wary about. She comes with this tiny dagger, kind of, it looks like a switchblade almost, kind of type thing. Now I will say it is handy that the dress comes in this little baggie that's in the packaging, just so you know where it's behind the figure in the box. In this little baggie, you can actually store all of her accessories in that, which is quite handy. So she comes with these two, depending on which way you want to have it. They're either kawaii hands, you know, where they do the, you know, kawaii thing up to the face with the two eyes and kind of thing like that, or it can be an insult gesturing finger hand if you want it that way. All the figures, I believe, come with the same hands, so you have, like, you get the same two kind of kawaii hands, if you want to call them, and I'm probably butchering the word, but you know, that kind of thing where they do the hands, the two fingers up to the eyes. I've never understood that kind of thing, but you know, that it is what it is. She comes with a small walkie-talkie that she can hold in her grasping hands. So she comes with two grasping hands. She has one that's kind of a little bit more outstretched. If I get it into it, you can also get it in the trigger finger hand, but she can hold the walkie-talkie in the grasping hands. The grasping hands have the same hinge as the trigger finger hands. The other hands, the other gesturing hands, do not have actually any hinges on them, so they're basically a basic swivel. She comes with a leg holster and a very small tiny pistol, which has a tendency to fall out. So if you're moving her around, I do recommend maybe keeping this separate, or just keeping an eye on it when you're moving her, because if you move it upside down, it tends to fall out of the leg holster. The leg holster just slips up onto the leg. So it is designed to be on the leg that's more exposed from the dress, as opposed to the one that's hidden under the dress. So you have that. Again, she's probably going to follow me, but we'll try and keep her standing. She does have that leg holster. She does have a crossbow, which is kind of a cool crossbow, because these bits move out to form the bow part of it. In fact, I haven't actually had her holding this thing. The handle looks quite big in it, but there is a crossbow thing on it. I would have thought these things would have rotated down. Maybe it's just me. Maybe they do rotate down. Hang on. Oh yeah, there is a... It's very hard to do it though, I would imagine. There's a bit that looks like it can rotate down at the front. There we go. You can get the other one to do it. It's very tight, but it is designed... I'm not sure if you can see it on the screen because it is black on black, so it's quite a hard thing to see, but it does look like it is designed to rotate down and fit into like a crossbow position, but they do rotate up out of the way. I'm just going to pop it back into its more default position as she face plants for the umpteenth time. So it is that. And then the last accessory she comes with is her grapple pistol. I do remember this very vaguely in the... I think she used it more in the animated series, in like the CG animated movies than in the video game, but I have a feeling she kind of used it in that as well. I do remember her having it, but I just remember in what context she has it. Because I know she kind of turns up from Resident Evil 2 onwards. She's kind of a staple character that kind of pops in every now and again, especially when you're playing with when the main character of the franchise you're playing as is Leon. She's kind of his nemesis or his love interest, or whatever way you want to describe their relationship. There is a kind of a what do you call it, love-hate relationship, I suppose, going on with them. So all in all, she is a pretty good figure. I picked this up from Locker Toys or LT Cave, so I will throw a link in the description for where I got her. In fact, I had forgotten I had pre-ordered her, and she turned up, and I was like, I don't remember ordering this. And I was like, oh, yes, I remember now I pre-ordered her. Now, we'll do a couple of other 1/18 scale female size comparisons to get things rolling. So here is the Hiya Toys Baroness. And we have the Joy Toy April O'Neil. Just get April to stand a little better. The good thing about April and Baroness is they have a more flat featured feet, so they don't fall over as much. I have a clear Dairy from the Jurassic Park franchise. You can see she's a small bit smaller than the other figures, because these are more 3 3/4 and these are 4 inches, so they have a slight size discrepancy. And then for other figures from different lines, because I had this guy out and I was looking at him, bringing the Phantom from Boss Fight Studios. I think there might be something of an unofficial Leon figure somewhere floating around in this scale. I don't know, or it's one of those things that you can get components from other figures and make one. So you might be able to make somebody that looks like a Leon Kennedy to go with her. But at the moment, I haven't any. We'll bring in Unmasked Jungle Hunter from the Hiya Toys line. Unfortunately, I think this is the now defunct Predator's Hiya Toys line. I was hoping they might have something from Predator or from Prey, which they didn't, and with the new movie coming out, Badlands, I don't think they're going to be bringing anything out. I think they lost their license a while back. Speaking of Predator, we'll bring in Wolf Predator while he's here as well. This is the masked version of Wolf. So I have the two of them. We can get him to stand. I want to stand up there. And then we'll bring in one of the turtles from the Joy Toy TMNT line. So you can see them in scale. I'll move Baroness slightly because she's probably now blocked by everyone. Bring in Leo. So we have a little plethora of figures in various lines from various franchises and from various manufacturers. So you can see how she scales up with them. As I said, she is a 1/18 or 1/18 or 4-inch scale figure. So she does fit a couple of different lines. In fact, one other figure I'll bring in, because I have him here, I was just looking at him, is the Robin from Spin Masters, as I make him use his bow staff to knock everyone over. Let's see if we can get the Predator standing, and I know she will fall over because I can see her legs are kind of gone from under her. Damn you and your bow staff, Robin. I'm gonna get her to stand, even if it's just slightly leaning against Robin for the time being. I'll just pick up April. There we go. So you can see the scaling across the board on a couple of different lines and stuff from different different manufacturers. She does scale quite nicely with stuff. So if you're a fan of the Resident Evil franchise, I do recommend picking her up, even if you're just a fan of the figure in general or the way it's designed, because it's the first time I've actually ever seen a company, or it's not even a big company, like Hasbro. Boris Bing toys are fairly low-key, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying they don't have a huge line or brand names behind them or anything like that. But it's interesting to see a company of that scale be able to do something with a soft goods cloth accessory for a figure this small. Most of the time it would be sculpted, like even the jacket here on Claire. It would, if they designed it, they could have done a soft goods version of the jacket that goes over her. It's interesting to see that. I know there's been one or two other companies have done soft goods stuff in the past that was like maybe just a coat. Hasbro have done it actually, but not on a big scale. I think some of the Jedi cloaks, if you're thinking, Star Wars Jedi robes, have been soft goods, but not to the extent of a full dress. That doesn't really hinder the articulation that much. There was a jacket for Endor Han, and the Endor troopers, rebel troopers, had soft good jackets as well that went down over their bodies. But it's interesting to see how this one has turned out. It is quite a cool figure. So all in all, I do recommend picking this figure up if you can get her. Hopefully she's still available on Locker Toys when I put up the link. But at the moment, at the time of this recording, I do believe she's still available, but that could change quickly enough. So if you do want to get one at a reasonable price, I do recommend picking her up, because I don't know what the third-party market prices will be. In a while, they could be charging ridiculous prices for some of these figures, because they're quite a low-run figure line, if you know what I mean. They're not super mass-produced. They are mass-produced in a factory, but they're not like in the terms of something like a Hasbro Transformer figures. They're not making hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of these. They're probably keeping it fairly low-key on how many they're making. So just something to FYI and keep in mind. If you do want to get one, I do recommend picking one up. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video review, and as always, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe to my channel, and I hope you enjoyed watching this to the end. And as always, I hope you have a great day. Cheers. Thanks.